Okay, we will next have a presentation by our CEO, Mr. Morales, on the 2016 business plan. We are now, excuse me, let me correct myself, on the 2016 draft business plan, and I was about to make the point that this was released by the authority as a draft for public comment and review. And as part of that, these meetings will also be an opportunity, among others, for the public to comment. And as Mr. Morales is taking the lectern, let me also point out that for those who are following our proceedings electronically, we invite and encourage comments on the draft business plan. You can find it on our website. You can also find the instructions on how to comment. Certainly you can come before us here. You can send letters. You can post comments, etc. So all of those will be considered and reviewed and contemplated before the board considers adopting the final. So with that, Mr. Morales.
With that, you just gave half of my presentation.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
We can shortcut this a little bit.
No, I didn't mean to do that.
That's all right.
Ad-libbing.
So this is an information item both for the board and the public about the release of the draft business plan, which is required under law to be submitted every 2 years and updates all of the major forecasts and cost estimates and other elements of what the program is. As you noted, it was released on February 18th. We're in a 60-day comment period running through April 18th, and have scheduled a board meeting at the end of April to consider any changes and adopt a final plan in order to submit it to the legislature on schedule. Probably the most significant thing about this draft business plan is that for the first time, within available existing resources, we can actually project out to delivering an operating system. That's a major step forward, and that's largely due to the tool that the governor and the legislature provided through the commitment on an ongoing basis of cap and trade funds. That's the game changer in terms of delivering the program. In delivering it, and what this plan includes really is the three-legged stool in terms of how we move forward, and those being, one, to get into service as soon as possible. And then for several reasons. One, it's to let people experience and have the benefit of riding the system, to start seeing the GHG benefits of getting people out of cars and airplanes and onto non-polluting trains, and very significantly to unleash private sector participation due to the revenue generation. At the same time, very importantly, we are committed to making concurrent investments throughout the system. That's to spread the benefits, to provide local enhancements in advance of our system being ultimately delivered, and it makes linking the system up simpler as we go forward. And then third, to continue to advance all of the segments through the environmental approvals so that we can move forward and take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves. Using those criteria, we apply that. I'll first note that the plan does result in, or does show, a decrease in the total capital cost. That's largely due to the lessons learned through the first contracts and related value engineering efforts to look at how we can deliver this program more effectively. Applying the three legs of the stool, what we propose in this draft is to initiate operations first in the north from the terminus of where our construction project is happening in the Central Valley up to San Jose. At the same time, making investments, and we've identified a total of $4 billion worth of investments that we intend to move forward with in conjunction with our regional partners to improve that corridor and prepare it for high-speed rail, but deliver interim benefits to local commuter rail. Also to Amtrak, that is on the second busiest Amtrak corridor in the country. And third, and to conclude all of the environmental, we do want, obviously we're talking about initial operations. That's just the first place that the models show us that we can run the system and meet all of the various requirements. Obviously we want to continue to extend the system, and we've identified the initial extensions from that operating segment to get into downtown Bakersfield and to San Francisco. And we are noting in the plan that we think it's time for the federal government to get back engaged in the program, and we'll be looking for opportunities as we go forward But I do want to point out that the plan that we have laid out here in draft in terms of getting into operation and making these other investments does not depend on new federal money. We're looking at that down the road. We heard some discussion during public comment about connecting the Central Valley to Silicon Valley, and that's really what's so significant about the initial operating segment, is that it is a game changer for that region, tying together the Central Valley for the first time with Silicon Valley. Takes 3.5 hours to drive from Fresno to San Jose to the Bay Area today. That'll be 45 minutes or so on the train. That's just a whole different way of connecting, and it opens up all sorts of opportunities. And that's what we're laying out in this program, and then expanding it as we go forward to tie in and expand the benefits to the key cities throughout. In Southern California, very heavily used rail corridor between Burbank and Anaheim, a key corridor for us. It goes through Los Angeles Union Station. This board recently approved an agreement with LA Metro to help to partner in the station and invest in that. We'll be expanding on those investments through specific funding of projects in that corridor that have distinct independent value and independent utility, and ultimately tie together to ultimately let us operate our system there. As the chairman noted, we are in the public comment period. To date, we have received over 40 comments. In the future board meetings, we will be presenting a summary of those comments for the public. The board members will receive all the comments to look at as we go through the process. There are a variety of ways that the public can make comment, and they're contained here. All of that is accessible through the website. And as was noted earlier, we will have future meetings in April 12th in Anaheim to take public comment there, and then April 21st in San Jose to consider the plan, take comment, and act on it there. And with that, that's the summary. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, CEO Morales. Any questions for Jeff or comments? Yes, Director Curtin.
No, you go ahead.
No,
I'm
please.
sorry.
I don't really have a question.
I don't either.
Okay, well, we'll make our speeches then.
Okay.
You know, I'm very excited about the new development, because for me, and I've only been on here about 6 months, this is the first time that you, at least I believe, you can really see the value of the connectivity that we keep talking about. Aside from all the details that we have to argue over on a regular basis, there's two elements to this that are critical. I think the enhancements in Southern California are clearly identifiable in a commuter sense. But the connection from San Jose to Fresno, Bakersfield, and we've had many people from the Valley here today, it changes very, very dramatically the potential economics. And I do remember from my own experiences sort of having an awakening. When you connect those centers, the idea of commuting from Fresno to San Jose is really quite easy to conceive of. And the dynamics of living in Fresno versus I mean, we all see the economic pressures that are being put on the Bay Area by Silicon Valley. This is a whole change in how that can be approached that really is, to me, the sort of the first signal of what high-speed rail will do for California. And the more people talk about it, the more they understand it. And I know the people in the Valley kind of get it, because as you've heard, we're in the middle of nowhere to get from one place to the other, and people sort of feel left out. But this will change things dramatically, and I'm really kind of thrilled about the ideas that are being presented here. And particularly also the idea of not leaving Southern California. I mean, the first impression from the press was, oh my goodness, they're changing direction. I know there was one article that I got a big kick out of, which was very consistently negative on high-speed rail, but then when the direction was changed, the article sort of said, well, oh my God, all the benefits of high-speed rail are moving north now. You know, so the discussion has changed dramatically, and I really want to thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Schenck.
Well, Jeff, I just to take the moment here. I mean, I also applaud the work that has gone into it and the refinement. people here earlier from Madeira were talking about high-speed rail, that the birthplace of high-speed rail is Madeira. Not so. The birthplace of high-speed rail and the idea was San Diego to Los Angeles, and the second busiest Amtrak corridor back in 1981. And so as we now push out further and further, I fear I'm not going to live long enough to see Phase 2, but I just want to make sure that with all the emphasis on Central Valley, which is important, and the Bay Area, and I agree with everything that Director Curtin said and that others have said, that we not lose momentum to try and accelerate that Phase 2, the real birthplace of high-speed rail and the real raison d'etre of high-speed rail, and the reason that back in 1981, I, as Secretary of Business and Transportation, and Governor Jerry Brown supported high-speed rail, began to implement it as we just need to keep that focus even as we move through the business plan as amended now.
Two comments on that. One, we are continuing, and it's clear in this plan, to do the early work, the planning and work for the Phase 2 system to get to San Diego. The other thing that this plan does is builds on the work we've done over the last few years to really look at how we connect into rail overall in the state. And so part of our focus on the Burbank to Anaheim corridor is that corridor continues south then to get to San Diego. That's the Los Andes corridor. We're working with the State Transportation Agency and the regional partners to look at continuing investments that can be made in that corridor to continue to improve service between LA and San Diego, even in advance of when we ultimately get to a high-speed rail system. So there's a comprehensive statewide effort to look at connecting those two cities much more efficiently with rail.
No, I understand that, Jeff. What I'm saying is we need to talk about it too,
Sure.
because people in that corridor say, really, why should we be supportive? What's it about? We need to at least keep the dream alive, is all I'm saying, by talking about it and writing about it.
Very good.
Okay. Sorry to have stepped away. Any other questions or comments at this point? Mr. Morales, let me thank you for the presentation, and let me also just say from the dais here, I think on behalf of all of us, we want to thank the hard work of the men and women of the staff and the RDP and others who put this document together. And I think it's a very exciting time for high-speed rail because we've laid out for the public our recommendation of how we can actually build the system. And what is really here is the sense that we can build this now. We have the available funds, if they're allocated, to build an operating segment, which will kick off everything else, as you pointed out. So it's all good. Anyway, please pass our thanks on to them and the staff. Okay, thank you. With that, we've completed the regular agenda. The board will now enter into closed session in the anteroom off of this auditorium.